Today's lesson is on multiplying decimals by whole numbers. Students will multiply decimals up to the hundredths place by a whole number. Let's get started by reviewing what we finished off the last lesson talking about. So we're going to find the product mentally by multiplying each digit. So let's do A together before you try some on your whiteboards. We're going to do 3.24 times 2. So if we're multiplying each digit separately, we're going to start by multiplying the 2 times the 3. So we know 2 times 3 is going to give us 6. And I'm going to put the decimal place right where it is in this number. Then I'm going to go 2 times 4, 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Then I'm going to do 2 times 4, which is 8. So 3.24 times 2 is equal to 6.48. Let's do B together as well. We have 2.31 times 3. So we're going to start by multiplying the 3 times the 2, which is 6. I'm going to put that decimal place right after the ones digit. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 3 times 1 is 3. I want you to complete C to H on your whiteboards for warm-up before you push play and continue on with your screencast. Okay, so how can we write 2.13 using place values? So if I have 2.13, I have 2 ones, I have 1/10, and I have 3 hundredths. Now I want to times all of this by 3. So I'm going to do 2 times 3, which is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So my answer is going to be 6.39. Sorry, that doesn't currently look like a 6. So that's just how we break that up and what we just did mentally. We can also multiply a decimal by a whole number using place values. So let's multiply using place values. Let's complete A together. So we have 3.12 times 3. So how would I break this up using place values? Well, 3 times 3 is going to equal 9 ones. I'm just going to make this font smaller, otherwise I'm definitely going to run out of room. I have 9 ones. If I multiply the 1 by 3, I'm going to have plus 3/10. Then 2 times 3 is going to be 6 hundredths. So that's how I would answer that question using place values. So the 3 times the 3 is 9 ones, 3 times the 1 is 3/10, 3 times the 2 is 6 hundredths. And I need to keep these adding signs in between each one. Now, I would like you to do B and C on your whiteboards following that same example, and then you can continue on with your screencast. Now, we're going to use base 10 materials and addition to calculate 2.16 times 3. So we're going to look at this in another way using the models of base 10. So remember, this the cube represents a ones, the rod represents a tenths, and the individual little block represents a hundredths. So here I have 2.16, and I have it 3 times because I'm multiplying by 3. Now, how many hundredths do we have here? Well, for hundredths, we have hundredths. Those are ones. So if we're looking at hundredths, we're looking at all of these. So we're going to add up how many hundredths we have here. So we have 6, 12, we have 18 hundredths right now. So what can we use to replace 10 of those hundredths with? Well, we can use a rod or a tens. So if I take 10 away, so I'm going to take away these 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10. And I'm going to replace that with a rod. So I'm going to replace that with a 10 because I'm taking away the 10 hundredths. And I'm going to replace it with a tenth. So there's my tenth that I'm replacing that with. Okay. Now, how many hundredths do I have left? Well, I have 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 hundredths remaining. So for my answer then, my answer is going to be, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 tenths. And I have 6, 7, 8 hundredths. So my answer is going to be 6.48 .48 or 6.48. So that's exactly what we were just doing, just representing it by regrouping using the base tens. Now we can do the same thing with money to also model decimal multiplication. So here I want $2.16 and I want to multiply it by 3. Now keep in mind we no longer have pennies. Pennies don't exist in our change anymore, but we're going to just pretend they do for the sake of this model, okay? So let's consider the decimal 2.16 as $2.16. So how many dollars do we have here? Well, we have $2. We have 1 dime that represents the 1, and we have 6 pennies that represents the 600ths. Okay, so if we want to multiply this by 3, this is how much we would have if we just had $2.16, a dime and 6 pennies. But I want to multiply it by 3. So I'm going to take this, multiply it out by 3. How much money do we have there? Well, let's first count all of our loonies. So how many full dollars do we have here? We have $6. Now for pennies, how many pennies do we have altogether? So if we have over 10, we could replace it with a dime. And we have a total of 6, 12, we have 18 pennies. So we could actually take 10 of these. So let's take 6, we're going to take those 6, and we're going to take 4, and we're going to get rid of them. And we're going to replace those pennies with an extra dime. Okay, so we've gotten rid of 10 pennies, and we're giving ourselves a dime. So now, how many dimes do I have? I have 1, 2, I'm going to circle these in blue so we can see them. So we have 3 dimes plus this guy over here, so we have 4 dimes, so 4 tenths. And how many pennies do we have left? We have 6 and 2, so we have 8 pennies. So we can represent what we just did in base tens, and we can also represent it with dollars or change. Now let's go back to using place value to represent this. So if I have 2.63, I have 2 ones, 6 tenths, 3 hundredths. I want to multiply by 2. So 2 times the 2 ones is going to be 4. 6 times 2 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6. So now that I have this, we can write this in place values as 4 ones, 12 tenths, and 6 hundredths. But what can I replace these 12 tenths with? Because I need to regroup. I can't have 12 tenths. So we can use a ones block to replace this. Okay, so if I take 10 away from here, so I'm going to take 10 and I'm going to move them over here. So now I have 5 ones. I'm going to switch to typing. Plus, if I've taken 10, what do I have left here? I have 2 tenths left, and I still have 6 hundredths. I haven't touched the hundreds block. So that's how we would regroup with tenths. Now let's look at 2.48 times 2. So if I have 2 ones, I have 4 tenths, and I have 8 hundredths. I'm going to multiply by 2. So I'm going to end up with 4 ones, 8 tenths, and 16 hundredths. Now, I need to regroup. So what can I replace 10 of these hundredths with? Well, I can replace them with a tenth. So I'm going to take away 10 from here, and I'm going to move them to a tenth. Okay, so I'm going to be left with 4 ones plus 9 tenths, because I'm adding a tenth. And if I've taken 10 from here, what am I left with? I'm left with 6 hundredths. Here's some examples for you to complete on your whiteboard using place values. So you're going to, let's do A together, and then you can do B, C, and D on your own. So let's multiply first the ones. So 3 times 2 is 6. Leave my decimal where it is. 3 times 6 is 18. So I can't really do anything with that, and then the 3 times 1 is 3. Now before my answer is done, I need to regroup. So I can take 10 of these and move them over here. Okay, So my answer is going to equal 7 decimal. If I've taken 10 from 18, I'm left with 8, 3. Let's do B together as well, because I feel like I didn't draw this out very well for you. So if I'm going to multiply by a place value, I'm going to multiply the 3 times the 1. So I have 3 ones plus 3 times 5 is 15 tenths plus 3 times 2 is 6 hundredths. So before I can answer this question, I need to regroup. So if I could take 10 from here. So I'm going to take away 10 and I'm going to add them to the ones. So I have 4 ones, put my decimal in. If I've taken 10 of the tenths, I only have 5 left and 6 hundredths. I want you to give C and D a try on your whiteboards, and then give the bonuses a try and see how that goes. So try E and F as well. When you're done trying these 4 on your whiteboard, you are going to resume your screencast. If you're having difficulties, you need to ask for help. This is really important that we understand how to regroup this. So if you're not sure where to go, go and ask for help before you continue on with your lesson. So again, we can also go back to this original algorithm that we worked on yesterday. So let's just multiply this out. There's no decimals here. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay. Now let's compare that to 2 decimal 37 times 2. So we're going to get the exact same answer of 474, but I need to put that decimal back in. So my decimal stays in line with where it was, and the answer is going to be 4 decimal 74. So let's give A try before you try B, C, and D on your own. So we have 3 decimal 6, 4, and I'm multiplying by 2. The 2 goes right underneath this hundredths digit. Oh, okay. That's cool. Then it just deleted all that. Sorry, let me just clean this up so we can actually read it. So we're going to multiply this. So 2 times 4 is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. I'm going to carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Remember, my decimal is going to go straight down to where it was right after the ones digit. So the answer is going to be 7 decimal 28. Give B, C, D, and E a try on your whiteboards, and then try the bonus. Again, if you're having difficulties lining the algorithm up, you need to stop and ask for help. When you are done, you're going to resume your screencast. Here's your lesson for today. You're going to complete jump pages 34 to 36. When you're done, you're going to come and check in, and then you can give the extension activity a try if you have time.